restaurants are adding a surcharge to their patrons' checks to help cover the cost of health insurance for their employees. Andy Puzder, former CKE restaurant CEO, is with us now. This is not a big surcharge, is it? What is it, about 2%, but it's there, right?
Yeah, and it's actually a pretty good marketing technique if you're in the right city. If you're in Austin, San Francisco, Chicago, where this is mostly happening, and you've got a liberal, left-leaning, kind of social justice warrior clientele, well, they come in and say, instead of paying a higher price, which looks like it's increasing the restaurant's profits, they come in and they go, oh, well, you know, aren't we good people? We're helping to pay for health care for these poor employees. So if you're the restaurant owner, it does help divert your attention away from higher costs and makes it look like you're doing something you'll feel good about yourself about. But the bottom line is, it all goes to the bottom line. It is increasing profitability and reducing expenses. Could you imagine doing this with rent? If you had something that said, my rent went up, would you please pay an extra $1 to help me pay my rent? Well, you know, nobody would go along with that. So it's to a naive kind of left-leaning clientele, I think this could be appealing.
Okay, I've got another one for you. President Trump has nominated Stephen Moore to the Federal Reserve, as you know. You say that is terrifying liberals.
Oh, yes.
Make your case.
Look, the left is very, very afraid that President Trump will succeed economically. The economy is doing so incredibly well, as we've discussed many times on your show. That's the biggest threat they face in 2020. The biggest threat to that economic recovery over the past year has been the Federal Reserve. By raising interest rates, increasing the strength of the dollar, they've decreased exports, which add to GDP, so it's kind of held growth down. If we can get some pro-growth individuals on the Federal Reserve Board, at least get their input on the Federal Reserve Board, we could have a tremendous, tremendous long-length economic recovery. The president's policies would continue to add to the quality of life for all Americans. Democrats are scared to death of that, particularly when people compare it to the Obama years when things were so, you know, not very good. Growth was terrible. People didn't have jobs. We've changed that, and we can keep it going with
Andy,
nominations like Steve Moore.
If you have super cheap money and a couple of rate cuts, which Mr. Moore is in favor of, would make it super cheap money, doesn't that do long-term damage to the economy?
Look, right now, the dollar is strong for a number of reasons. One is we had terrific growth in the second and third quarters of last year, 4.2 and 3.4%. The rest of the world is staggering. That makes the dollar even stronger because the dollar is, you know, it's viewed as a safe haven in economically distressing times. So there's two things that are making it stronger. Third, the Fed is cutting back on the money supply. They're cutting back on quantitative easing. So you've got fewer dollars, which increases demand. So we've got three things already strengthening the dollar. We didn't need and we don't need increased interest rates on top of that. The dollar's not going to weaken significantly, but if it weakens enough that we can encourage more exports, we're going to be way ahead.
Okay, got it. Andy Puzder, thank you very much, sir. We'll see you again soon. Yes, sir. Now this, the food delivery